Good evening. Today I am sitting with Father
Martin Wright,
and we are sitting in the
Church of the Advent in Jeannette, Pennsylvania.
And what is the address here?
51 South 1st Street in Jeannette, just up from the fire hall.
Okay. The time of your service? Your weekly service?
Our services are at 9:30 on Sunday morning. You can come and see us here, or you can catch us live on Facebook.
Very good. How long have you been here serving this church?
Since November of 2018.
So quite some time now.
A little while.
Your feet in the door now. I mean, you're settled in.
Yeah, I think the whole body's in the door at this point.
And by the way, it's a beautiful church. My goodness, you told me it goes back to 1905?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it's been serving this community. Was there ever a time it was shut down?
Well, we didn't worship in person here during the pandemic.
Oh, the pandemic, of course.
But apart from that, no, it's been continuous
for almost 120 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's terrific. What are there any challenges in serving in Jeannette?
Well, Jeannette, like a lot of the smaller communities in our area, has suffered in recent years with the loss of its major industry. Glassmaking used to be the major industry in Jeannette, and I think it was probably in the 90s that the last of those operations shut down. So you have a loss of people close, to the church, and if you saw the outside of the church, there's no parking lot.
Right.
So, people were expected, I guess, back in the day to be in walking distance.
Right.
Here.
Well, in 1905, there were no cars.
Right.
So all the neighbors would come out.
Right. And Jeannette, like a lot of these communities, become somewhat depressed. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our parishioners travel, well, some of them are in Jeannette, but others travel from greater distances to come and join us.
Now, you've been in the ministry 20 years?
Yeah, 22.
22 years?
22.
Has anything changed in those 22 years from the first day you started serving to today?
Oh, yeah, quite a lot. Being in the Episcopal Church, some of the people viewing this will probably know that our diocese split up back in the late 2000s, 2008 or 9, something like that. So I came in ahead of that, and then that happened during my ministry, and kind of there in the middle of that, I guess you'd say God actually changed courses for me, mm-hmm. and my full-time work became that of a hospice chaplain.
Oh.
And so I've done church work kind of on the side, so to speak.
Do you find hospice work challenging?
It can be, yes. It's, I guess you could say this about any job, but it is a kind of work that you really have to be called to. You have to have the gifts to do it. If you don't, the work eats you up pretty quickly.
I'm sure it'll be very emotional.
It can be, yes.
Oh my goodness! I mean, good for you. I'm glad God has apparently got the right person to do that.
It's good work.
I think very challenging job.
Yeah, it's good work.
So if you could go back 22 years, if there was a time machine, what would you tell your younger self about the ministry? How would you prepare yourself a little? What surprised you that you wish somebody would have warned you about?
Oh gosh, there have been a lot of surprises. I'm not sure much has happened that wasn't a surprise in some sense. I don't know. Ministry, of course, was God's idea, not mine. Sure. You could ask my wife, I didn't want to do it. In fact, she was probably the first one that suggested I should do it. And I said, no, that's nuts.
Always listen to your wives, gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, God
not always.
God made that clear, as time unfolded. And so when I finally discerned the call to ministry, the first couple of years or so, I did it just out of obedience. I didn't like it much. Right. It didn't make much sense to me, But I guess the advice, maybe the best advice I could give is you have to listen to God. You have to be sensitive to what He's telling you and do that. In fact, I guess I have given that advice actually to some other folks along the way who were considering a call to the ministry. Emphasizing the fact that you have to be certain what God is saying to you, because you're not going to make it through the process toward ordination if you're not clear about that.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Now, if I were to come here on a Sunday morning, you said 9:30? Mm-hmm. 9:30 Sunday morning, what could I expect? I mean, do you consider yourself a high church, lower church? What is the feel here? How would the people find you?
We might actually be kind of an all over the place church.
Nothing wrong with
when
that.
you get right down to it.
Worship for everybody.
If you look around the building, it appears very high church, and the history of the church is reasonably high church. I'm not so much a high church person myself, at least I don't consider myself to be, but we have people that, enjoy those aspects of the service. We have folks that are a little freer with things. We worship according to the Book of Common Prayer, as all Episcopalians do. So that sets kind of guardrails for us in terms of what we do during worship. But we try to be creative with that. In fact, I'm just now beginning to incorporate some more modern music. We're between musicians at the moment. A lady that had been our organist for us for a while retired at the end of last year. And so we've been using recorded music, hymns, essentially. But this Sunday we began to incorporate some more modern contemporary Christian music in our worship. And we're going to continue to do that kind of thing. I have some pretty good feedback actually from folks for that.
That's excellent. Just to give you an idea, those of you watching, what you're talking about being all over the place, yesterday you celebrated Pentecost.
Yes.
That's a celebration. That's important to the church history. But you did it in crazy shirts.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for the past...
What was the idea behind that?
I think 3 or 4 years. A lot of Episcopal churches, and probably some other churches as well, that have used liturgical colors and seasons of the church year. On the day of Pentecost, people would typically wear red. In fact, well, no, we're switched over to white now.
Vestments are usually red, yes.
Next Sunday will be Trinity Sunday. Anyway, so a lot of folks would wear red. Well, I've been trying to think of creative ways that we could do something that might be in some way attention-getting to people outside the church. Sure. So I came up with the idea of doing Crazy Shirt Sunday. And we do that on the day of Pentecost.
Yeah. So
that was the idea yesterday. I had my crazy shirt, and most folks, wore their crazy shirts. And, I like for people to be able to come to worship and have a good time. Right. If you look at our prayer book, and I've had to encourage people in this way sometime, if you read through our service, there's a word that refers to me in the service, or whoever is doing what I'm doing, leading the service, and that word is the celebrant. So it's a celebration. It's a party. So it's okay to be joyful and smile and laugh and have a good time.
God's laughing in heaven. Why aren't we laughing down here?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can you tell me something about the ministries here at your church?
Sure. We have right now a couple of primary ministries that we focus on. One is called Sharing Our Blessings. And in the fall, we will load up some small backpacks with toiletries, personal hygiene items, and then those will be distributed to a shelter in Greensburg and another one that's in Latrobe. So that's one of the big things we do. The other one we're just starting, so this is kind of a plug for that one, and that's the Bountiful Bowl Pet Food Pantry. This will serve the same kind of function that a food pantry for people does, the food bank or whatever, but this will be for pets. We're in a time where the economy is not particularly great, and we hear stories all the time of people making decisions about what they're going to spend their money on, and particularly among the elderly population, a lot of times they will spend money on food for their pets before themselves. Sometimes maybe even sharing whatever it is they get for their pet. We'd like to, take part in maybe alleviating some of that, and we certainly hope that folks will not have to give up their dear companions, their pets, to the shelters, which are already overflowing with unwanted animals, or maybe not unwanted, but ones that people just don't have the means to care for. So hoping we can be a positive in that respect, and distribute food and other things that pets might need. We're just getting started. But if that's something that's a passion of yours, or you're interested about, contact us here at the church. I can give you our email. That's JeannetteAdvent@gmail.com. And you can reach us there and inquire about it, and we'll get you all the information we can.
As we come to the end of this interview, that was a quick 10 minutes.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. I'm going to just turn the camera over to you. It is your interview. I mean, it's your time. Anything you'd like to say, if you'd like to give the people watching an encouraging word to get them through their difficult day, or just preach a little bit of your favorite Bible passage, or whatever you want to do, the show is yours. Go right ahead.
Well, thank you. I don't know. I wasn't prepared. Wasn't really fully prepared for that. Let me just say, we do have a good time here with our worship, but we take our worship seriously as well. If you're out there, looking for a church family to be a part of, if you're just looking for some healthy companionship, a relationship, if you're looking for something deeper, maybe than what you're experiencing, maybe give us a look. The region we're in here is very heavily Roman Catholic. If you're Catholic, you would be very familiar with our service. You would find your way around pretty easily. But it's open to everybody. We're not, restrictive in any way. We welcome all sorts of folks. Come as you are, and I think you'll find some folks that will accept you as you are. And I believe that's something we can use in our day. A lot of things out there, to be struggled with. There's a lot of division, a lot of anger, and all that. And we try to set that aside in here and help each other and love each other. So do that in your realm. And if you can, come and join us, or even check us out on Facebook. See if it looks like something you want to come and see in person.
Well, I know you've been very hospitable to me. I assume you would share that same graciousness with any visitor that would come in the door.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Very much.
I know you're a busy man and you have other things to do, but if you're ever through Jeannette at 9:30 on a Sunday morning, check out this church. And until next time, God bless.